Greetings adventurers, and welcome back to Adventure Game Show Geek. I'm Twilso, and today I'm going to be talking about dragons. Yeah, I know what you're thinking. What's a video about dragons doing on a channel about game shows? Well, the truth is, the topics aren't as distant as you'd think, because dragons actually feature in quite a few game shows, sometimes with just a small reference, other times they're pretty prominent. And today, I'm going to cover them all. Let's start with Raven. One of the most iconic fantasy game shows of all time, there's bound to be some dragons there. And there are. Technically. More like dragons exist, but they go to great lengths to avoid actually featuring them. You hear a lot about them, it's
Dragon's fire.
that keeps the burning battlements burning, their blood is used on the second floor of the wizard's tower to make the treasure rings. Idlewise from the new series confirms they are still alive and well among the magical creatures of the realm. The warriors even climb into a dragon's nest
in the challenge Dragon's Roost
to steal a treasure ring, and still one never appears.
A dragon's scale is featured in the magic potion
Made by the warriors in Raven the Dragon's Eye. And speaking of the Dragon's Eye, no dragons there either. False advertising. The only time dragons actually appear in Raven is in the challenge
Millstone Towers.
And even then, they're only eggs. Eggs that are then smashed by the careless warriors. I mean, I preferred the use of dragon's eggs to the slumbering skulls, but a small part of me was glad when they switched and they stopped the dragon abuse. A very small part, mind you. Let's move on to Knightmare now. This is better, plenty of dragons here. They even have a group sworn to protect them, the Dragon Wardens, the Air One. Sign me up. The first dragon seen in Knightmare is the Earth Dragon, Owen. In the dungeons, dragons are categorized by color. Blue or green dragons tend to be amicable and helpful, while red dragons tend to be more homicidal. I assume browny yellow dragons are somewhere in between, willing to help if you catch them when awake, but if you disturb one's sleep, you won't live to regret it. The next dragon is Snurkanoff, the Great Crested Green, the only green dragon to appear, and the most iconic of all of Knightmare's dragons. He offered flight, spells, and information for stuff like dragon mints, aniseeds, firestones, and precious metals.
He was friendly with most of the dungeon residents,
and was often seen with Alita the Foul-Mouthed Cavern Elf, and Romana, the Dragon Warden who was sent to protect him. He has been proven to be a useful ally, going by the times the members of the opposition have tried to kill him. Lord Thir sent the Brolican to kill him in Series 7. He also wanted to bathe his sceptre in Smirkanoff's blood in the book The Forbidden Gate. And in the Dragon's Lair, an evil sorcerer and ally of Lysandra tried to kill him before he can even be born. Moving on, the Red Death, as the name suggests, is a red dragon, but it didn't kill the residents of Knightmare Castle as Lord Thir intended.
No, sadly, Traegard killed it instead.
Sadly, this isn't the only dragon slain by Traegard, as I'll bring up again later. Then there were the Snapdragons, smaller red dragons that lurked in level 1 and could catch a dungeoneer
or an unsuspecting watcher
by surprise. Then there was Balshabar, who seemed to have a slightly inaccurate, very inaccurate version of dissociative identity disorder.
He's not only Baal Shiba, but he's Baal and Shiba in one skin, and they don't even like each other.
He's responsible for frying one dungeoneer, but he didn't get to face another, as Daniel died before he could trick the two identities into arguing with each other. This would have been excellent to watch, but as I said, it didn't happen. Lord Thir then combined both identities using magic, creating Firestorm of Marblehead, very intimidating name by the way, who then failed to bring down the Tower of Lingholm and Maldame. Yeah, Lord Thir doesn't exactly understand the concept of learning from his mistakes. And since I've mentioned Smirkanoff's appearances in the books, I feel obliged to mention the other dragons in the books, because yes, there's more. In the very first book, Traegard kills the marsh dragon Beelwit to enchant his sword, which Anna then gives the rather distasteful name Wormslayer. Admittingly, Beelwit had killed several women, so maybe he did need to be put down. Then there's Talionis, Smirkanoff's mother and the keeper of a magic pool. And finally, in the gamebook section of the Forbidden Gate, the reader is tasked with retrieving the egg of another Earth Dragon. Dragons play a smaller role in other game shows, such as Relic, Gardens of the Museum, where a challenge set in ancient China involves freeing the trapped spirits of 4 dragons. The Coatl,
who occasionally appears in a challenge in Jungle Run,
is more of a mythical serpent than a dragon, but I'm going to count as a dragon today, so it's included on the list. The Silver Dragons are one of the team names used in Fort Boyard Ultimate Challenge, which makes a bit of sense since dragons are a force to be reckoned with, but it feels slightly out of place with all the more mundane predators. Where else can you find dragons? How about in the Crystal Maze? As we've already established, medieval castles are rife with them. And there just happens to be one in a challenge called Dragon's Eggs.
a beautiful specimen
Guards the crystal treasure chest, but the crystal itself resides in one of her eggs. But the dragons aren't restricted to one zone.
The Aztec Zone has one too.
In the challenge Dragon Totem. At first, I didn't think it looked much like a dragon, but now I see it. And the Eastern Zone also has a majestic Chinese dragon in the game Dragon Shake. The Ocean Zone didn't have a dragon, sadly. Here be dragons, not quite. And neither did the Industrial Zone, but then again, you wouldn't expect there to be any dragons in the Industrial Zone. And nor would you expect there to be any dragons in the Futuristic Zone. Or would you? Let me take you many light years away to the far side of the galaxy, to a region often visited by time travelers, where a small planet of little consequence lies. It's called Arg and it's home to the Argons, a species of shape-shifting space dragons. Yes, you heard me. Shape-shifting space dragons. All great things by themselves, but put them together and you get something truly brilliant. Everything on Arg is an anagram of the word dragon, from their names to their currency to their greetings. And maybe they don't always look like dragons, but I assure you they are dragons of the highest class. And there you have it, game shows, dragons and how they're intertwined. I hope you enjoyed the video. I certainly enjoyed making it. And I'll join you again soon for more nonsense, because it's only a game, isn't it?